Back in 1993, there was a movie called Sniper starring Tom Berenger and Billy Zane, which I was really excited to see back then, but little did I know that they made five more sequels, and we are going to take a look at every one of them today. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Talkin Movies series, I guess you can call it. I am your host, the real Gino Reynolds, and today we are going to be looking at all six of the Sniper movies in the Sniper series, starting with the original film, Sniper. 1993 Sniper stars Tom Berenger as Thomas Beckett, who is basically labeled like the world's greatest sniper. But he could be having some issues with the idea of going back to civilian life. He's on a mission, and his spotter ends up getting killed by another sniper, who we do find out who he is later, that Beckett does know who he is, and he ends up becoming like a rival to Beckett. Beckett is then sent on another mission with Richard Miller, played by Billy Zane, but Beckett is not in charge of the mission. Miller is. And Miller is someone that has never been in the jungle. He doesn't have a lot of experience. He does have SWAT experience, but he doesn't have jungle experience. So they're sent on a mission to eliminate somebody. But Beckett has other plans where he needs to do side missions to make the mission work. He doesn't feel that the government, their plan will really work because they've never been out in the jungle. So they go out to do these missions, and of course Miller and Beckett are kind of at each other the whole time. This leads to Miller, who supposedly shot somebody with a sniper rifle from a helicopter, he has this quote-unquote legendary status. Of course, Beckett doesn't believe him. They're at each other's throats, but them being at each other's throats leads to the mission kind of being off, and they have to find other ways to succeed in their mission. Plus, we also deal with what happens when you kill somebody, like how you feel, how it affects you, how killing so many people, you don't feel human anymore because if you've done it so many times, you just don't feel anything anymore. Plus, we have to deal with them just fulfilling their mission and taking out these certain guys that'll disrupt this Panama sect of drug runners and such. But they also find out that they have to deal with a former CIA agent, and then, of course, the sniper. I will say this. I don't know really how well this movie held up. I still really enjoyed it. One thing I did enjoy, and I loved it from the trailer, from the first time I seen it on a commercial, to when I seen the movie till now, anytime that a sniper fires their weapon, it's got this, like, it looks like a water trail. It's supposed to be like a vapor trail or something. And when it comes from the gun, it looks like they're shooting. It looks like the gun, like it's like a water gun that can shoot bullets. And I don't know why I enjoy it, but I do. So I always like that. It's kind of the slowdown. You watch the bullet as it goes. The movie, story-wise, is still fine. I still really enjoyed it. I won't say it holds up as well as it did when I was a lot younger when it came out. I mean, I was in high school when this movie came out. I think it tries to fit too many themes into it because, yeah, you have these two guys bickering and going on a mission, and they're also dealing with, you could say, PTSD or dealing with killing a person, how it makes you feel. There's just so many different things going on that it doesn't really leave enough time to establish your bad guys. The bad guys are very just generic. They have a sniper that's after them, which ends up being someone that Beckett trained that's now a mercenary. You have the former CIA agent that's working for the bad guys. You have the ultimate bad guy who they're supposed to be after. And then his right-hand man. and they're supposed to be like really important figures, but you don't really get a good setup with them. They do focus mostly on Berenger and Zane's characters, which is fine. They needed to, but the runtime of the movie doesn't leave enough time to really make your bad guys any less than they're just generic bad guys. Even though they try to make the CIA agent or the former CIA agent like important, because there's a scene where he's torturing Beckett, and it's supposed to like make him important, but it doesn't really do that. So the bad guys are kind of weak. That being said, they spend enough time with Berenger and Zane that their characters make the movie work. I like that J.T. Walsh was in this. I miss that guy. I love J.T. Walsh. He's in it for just a little bit, but that little bit's great because, again, I'm just a fan of his, or was a fan of his. Yeah, the movie itself, it's entertaining. It's a bit of a mess. They set up this whole sniper thing. See, that's really the only bad guy, even though they don't go a ton into who he is other than Beckett trained him and now he's a mercenary. At least throughout the movie, he's a constant antagonist. He is always stalking them. He's always following them. He's always too far away to where they can't shoot him from afar. He's always there, but then all of a sudden, they take care of him. In the last third of the movie, he's not in there. They took all this time to set him up, and then they take him out, and then he's not there anymore, and you have to rely on these other bad guys just being targets to be the main plot point of the movie. So in the end, it's something they should have kept the sniper till the end. If you take out the main bad guys and then the last third, which by the way, the fight with the sniper is the best part of the movie. And it was back then when I watched it, and rewatching it now, it was now. So if they would have saved that till the end, I think it would have made for a better movie. Like, say he's being paid by the drug dealers. Well, the drug dealers are dead, but he's going to fulfill his mission anyway, kind of thing. And then of course you've got Beckett versus him, and then they go into their fight that they had where Billy Zane's character is used as bait, and it leads to what I would consider a somewhat iconic shot of Beckett firing a bullet through the other sniper's scope, and you watch it as it's come through the scope, and of course it pops him right in the eye and takes him out, which again, the best part of the movie. So if that would have been the end of the movie, I think it would have been a little better, but still, does this movie hold up? Yeah, it's worth watching. But who knows? Let's find out if the rest of the movies are worth watching. Next up, we're going to talk about Sniper 2. And this one I did know existed, but I never got a chance to see it. I was honestly kind of surprised I never watched this. Sniper 2 was released in 2002, so you're looking at almost a decade since the first movie. This one has Sergeant Beckett. Tom Berenger is now retired, and he is having a hard time holding down jobs after being released from the Marines in the first film. At the end of the first film, his trigger finger's been injured, which was the torture part, and also now his eyesight is going, which we'll talk about that in a bit. So he is having a hard time holding down jobs. Right now he's working for basically one of those hunting businesses where the animal's caged and then they let the animal out just so the people that can afford it can go out and just kill the animal and think they accomplished something. But he almost gets shot by one of those guys, so he quits and leaves. Well, when he leaves, he sees he's being followed, and it turns out he's being followed by some government agents and some military agents, and they want him to do a job. And he's like, look, I was discharged for health reasons. Why are they going to want me back now? I haven't been in it in a long time. They said, well, we need the best, right? So they convince him to do it, and he is joined by a former Army Ranger that was in prison for murdering a federal agent. We get the story later about that, and it turns out that the character is justified for doing what he did, but they still convicted him. Even though he couldn't prove it, you trust his character when he tells you the story. But they have to go on a mission to assassinate this character. And forgive me, I don't exactly remember who this guy was. He's some military guy that they have to take out. Well, being that the mission happens like right at the first of the movie, you know that things are going to go wrong or there's going to be a double cross, and sure enough there is. So after the double cross, you find out that Bokeem Woodbine's character, the guy that was on death row, he has a side mission. They're supposed to escort this writer out of the country. This writer is someone that people are listening to that is kind of upsetting the government where they're at. And I don't even remember if they specify where they're at. So that you have Tom Berenger's character realizing that he's been double-crossed, but he still decides that he is going to help this Army Ranger get this guy out of the country. Okay, this one, I have to start with the eyesight thing. They make a big deal about his eyesight going. When he's looking through a scope, he sees like double vision and stuff. And this happens at the first when he's hunting with the guys. This happens on the first mission where he has to snipe this guy. But he still makes the shot. And of course they double cross by having some like a small explosive device goes off above him that alerts the people that they're there before he even takes a shot. So the double cross is in, but they make a big deal about his eyesight, and he even brings it up. He's like, why would they want to, I think he said like 50-some-year-old sniper with a bum hand and bad eyesight. But then after that, the eyesight means nothing. They don't go back to it. Like the first movie, there is another battle with another sniper, and they make no mention of his eyesight going. So they just kind of forget the eyesight thing, which kind of bothered me. They didn't make a big deal about it. I thought they were either going to force it, which they did at first, but then they forget about it. It's like you can't just forget about something like that. The movie itself, it doesn't really deal with any of the issues that the first one did about having trouble killing people, but it does try to get a bit preachy about is killing justified in war. You have this writer who is a pacifist and wanting things to be peaceful and diplomatic, arguing with Tom Berenger's character about, he's like, what do you feel? Berenger and Woodbine's character are talking about some of their missions, and the writer character goes, are you proud of these things? And they get in an argument about, it's like, look, I'm good at this and that's why you're still alive. I had to use violence to save your life. There's this whole forced debate between them two, but then in the end they bring it back just a little bit, but then they kind of drop it again. It's just like a quick blurb. It's like, you're right, the violence was justified here, so I guess Berenger wins the argument even though he wasn't there for the conclusion of it. The double cross you see coming a mile away. You don't exactly know what they're doing, but the government and military guys that sent them on the mission, you can tell they're just weaselly and that they're going to double cross Berenger's character. And one of them is Johnny Cage from the original Mortal Kombat. So take that as you will. But yeah, they go on this mission. You can tell that, you're wondering why Berenger's helping them. He could just leave. I mean, granted, he's an honorable guy and he's going to help them. But in the end, they're like, why did you help us? And he goes, well, there's this young guy that helped me on a mission years ago, talking about Billy Zane's character. He goes, he helped me. He rescued me from being tortured. So I figured I owed somebody. That being said, and spoiler alert, the guy he ended up coming back and helping because Bokeem Woodbine's character gets captured on purpose so he can free this writer who had been captured. Yeah, he frees him and helps him get out, but Woodbine's character ends up dying anyway. So it's just kind of a strange middle finger to you when you're watching this, because you're like, you think he would have survived, given the whole point of why he was rescued. And the reason he died was even dumb. The guy, he's escorting the writer, and the writer moves at the wrong time, because this movie it fixed the mistake that the first movie made. They made the sniper battle the last thing, pretty much. So the writer guy moves, the sniper takes a shot, then they start running for some reason, and Woodbine's character gets killed, or at least gets shot. He dies in the chopper at the end, but having the reason he got killed was dumb. But of course, there is a sniper battle at the end. Tom Berenger's character takes out the other sniper. And honestly, he doesn't use the same method to trick him, but he's able to trick him, and he once again shoots somebody through their scope. So we'll find out after we watch all 6 movies. Is this going to be a theme? Is this going to be a theme where Beckett shoots people through their scope? So we'll find out then. Sniper 2, definitely not as entertaining as Sniper 1. It's fine, but I can see why people really didn't like it that much. It's got about an average score from what I'm seeing on IMDb, like a very mid-range score. I thought it was fine. I'm very happy that at the moment, after watching it, that I got this whole box set of 6 movies, of all the 6 movies, for like $5, because I'm paying less than $1 a movie, so I'm happy about that. So yeah, that's Sniper 2. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, now it's time to talk about Sniper 3 from 2004. This movie continues the story from Sniper 2, where we find out that the government made a deal with Tom Beckett, and he's still in the military. He's doing training, and of course he's not following orders very well. The government approaches him to take a job. It's one of his old war buddies from Vietnam. He says he wants him to go back to Vietnam to assassinate somebody, and it turns out that it's a war buddy of his that he thought was dead, and now he's like this crime lord. The crazy thing is we find out that Beckett is very close to this guy's family. He helps with the toast at the guy's son's wedding. And also he's kind of getting in good with the widow. Then again, like, technically she's not a widow because the guy's still alive. But anyway, I honestly thought they had a decent story set up with this. You had a soldier that is trying to find a way out of the military. At least this widow basically tells him, "I do love you. You've been there for me for all these years. I'm in love with you." And you could tell that, you know what, he may have a reason to get out, but when he finds out that this guy's still alive, he needs to be the one to go take him out. They do continue a little bit of what we know has been happening to the character. His hand's all messed up, of course. This leads to his hand shaking. He has nerve damage from when his finger was basically destroyed in the first movie. He still fires with his middle finger. That being said, the eyesight problem that he had in part 2 is never mentioned again. Again, I thought this movie had a decent setup, but then I don't know what happened. Once they get into Vietnam, he gets into the mission, and either he it's hard to tell what happens, because his hand messes up, but he's also stalling, and he closes his eyes before he takes the shot. to kill his former buddy. And he misses and hits another guy, which ends up being a backup assassin for the government. So, of course, the government is screwing him again. And, of course, this leads him to not be real happy with his contact, which is a Vietnamese police officer whose father was an American GI that just left and went back to his family. And this guy, he's very... okay, if you've seen, like, a Chow Yun-Fat movie or a Jet Li movie, it's very stereotypical two gun-wielding Asian cop. If that, and of course he knows martial arts too. I mean, they give the character a little bit of character development, but he's just still a pretty generic character. And of course he's really good at shooting two guns, and later on you see his martial arts skills, and so that character was kind of meh. He ends up being an important character, but it's because he's Tom Berenger's partner. This movie, I thought I had a good setup. I thought we were going to get a decent movie, but then it just kept going, and he goes after the guy, and he, of course, finds out that the buddy that sent him there is trying to cover up something that happened in Vietnam, which that was a nice little twist. But you see it coming because, see, Tom Berenger's character keeps having flashbacks from this certain moment. He keeps dreaming this certain moment, and this certain moment ends up being one of the big plot points where there's a guy they keep showing. It's like they keep focusing in on this guy, who ends up being like an AP reporter with a video camera. It's like, gee, I wonder if that's going to have something to do with the plot twist, and it does. And it turns out that they wanted to send Beckett to Vietnam so that he would be killed as well because he was there and he may or may not have witnessed some bad things that happened in Vietnam. They wanted to kill the guy that became his friend. They wanted to kill him because there was a second shooter. By the way, they do continue the tradition of bullet through the scope. This time, though, he does it. He snipes a sniper with a handgun, and it still goes through the scope. And oh boy, here's the thing: he finds his friend. His friend is what is called a tunnel rat, and so he knows where to track him down. He goes to the jungle, finds the tunnels, and I kid you not, they didn't have the uniforms or anything, but they basically stumbled upon a version of the Foot Clan lair from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. There's guys doing martial arts and training. There's guys playing video games. I'm surprised a young Sam Rockwell didn't come out and offer them either regular or menthol cigarettes. But anyway, he tracks down his friend. He makes a 1 in a million shot, remembering something that his friend's widow / his nerve doctor, because I just had to fit that together. He remembers something she said about how hands work and nerves work, so he's able to make this miracle shot by shooting someone else's hand, which causes this guy to shoot the bad guy. And though it was kind of cool, it was very telegraphed. And of course he ends up quote unquote freeing all these young men, because once the snake is dead, right? You cut the head off the snake. They use that analogy, and it's like, gee, I wonder if that'll come into play later. But he basically frees all these teenagers, and he ends up, they get all the information, and everyone that was involved is arrested. But here's the thing. Here's what really irked me, and if they don't cover this in one of the latest movies, I'm going to be a bit irked. They didn't show him returning home. They should have showed him returning home, because they teased that he's not a soldier anymore. He's quitting. Why didn't they show him showing back up and talking to the guy's widow? And, he basically over the phone he called her from Vietnam and was basically, she's like, I love you. And he's like, I do too. And they did nothing with it. Nothing. So Sniper 3, though it started off with some decent promise, was just kind of and I'm now that I'm halfway through this series, I'm not real excited for the rest of it. So on we move to Reloaded. All right, Sniper Reloaded from 2011. This one has no Tom Berenger in it. Oh, no, no, no. Here's the thing. This one follows his son, who we have never heard about before. I remember him mentioning he wasn't married in the first one. And then, or was it the second one? They're all running together now. But all of a sudden, he has a son who is in the Marines, but he refuses to be a sniper because he thinks he became a foot soldier to tick off his dad. Well, anyway, he is in the process of possibly being court-martialed at the beginning of this movie. They're interviewing him to find out what happened in the Congo in Africa. And it's basically him telling the story about how they were supposed to extract this one guy, and they are ambushed, and all of his team members died. The sniper, of course, there's another sniper. The sniper that killed all his men, he thinks that Beckett's son is dead, but he's not, and he ends up getting out of the country after finding this movie's plot is just all over the place, so forgive me. He finds the daughter of the guy they were supposed to extract, and he gets her out of the country, but he gets shot along the way. As he's healing up, the best part of the movie finally shows up. Billy Zane shows up from movie number 1. We finally get Richard Miller back. And instead of being the Richard Miller from the first movie, we get sarcastic Billy Zane. And he's by far the best part of the movie. He's not in it enough, but he's by far the best part. So he comes in, and it turns out he knows who the sniper is. Just like in the first one, it's like, I trained this guy, and now he's against us. So so he's like, you're not going to be able to beat this guy. You're a foot soldier. You're not a sniper. Even though anytime Beckett's son picks up a sniper rifle, he's really good at it. So it's kind of like Django and Django Unchained. It's like, he's a natural. So anyway, we also have this. She's the lieutenant on the base, so she outranks Beckett's son, Brandon. I forgot to mention his name. She outranks him, yet he doesn't know that, and he hits on her first while everyone's working out. They dare him to. But later, of course, he asks her out. Isn't there something, I'm not in the military, but isn't there something about higher ranks and lower ranks fraternizing? But anyway, let's just say that their awkward dinner. Okay, if you've seen A Few Good Men, I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't remember the exact quote, but when Jack Nicholson's character is like, there's nothing more sexy than getting to salute someone that's ranked above you. Well, Brandon Beckett got to be at full attention that night in a love story we did not need, and who knows if it'll continue in the future movies. But anyway, after a night of raising the flagpole, he goes back into the Congo. He sneaks out, warned by Richard Miller not to go, but he sneaks out to try to find this hunter that was earlier in the movie. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that character. This hunter has some African children that are basically his children. He's taking care of them. But he goes to help him save his children in turn for this hunter showing him where he needs to go to find the bad guys. Well, it turns out, though, that the main bad guy, the sniper, is an American soldier, and he's on the base the entire time. He's in their base the entire time. So, of course, he knows where he's going to go. Of course, that leads you to know that there's connections to people on the base that are bad guys. It makes it really obvious, and of course, they don't introduce you to a lot of characters, so you know who's going to be the turncoats. But anyway, Billy Zane's character Richard Miller ends up going in to help them, and of course, he's wisecracking, and he's shooting guys, and it's awesome. But they decide to go ahead and try to ambush the sniper, but the group that comes with the lieutenant see, Brandon says, I have evidence of what's going on, and they send in soldiers with the lieutenant, and the soldiers, of course, work for the bad guys, so the soldiers attack. But then you have the assassin, or the other sniper attacks. He shoots Richard Miller, who ends up disappearing, so of course you're like, he's still alive. And Brandon ends up outsmarting the sniper. That being said, he shoots him through the scope, so the tradition continues, but it just grazes him on the face. He's like, you're not good enough, basically, like, you're not your old man. But he ends up outsmarting him, getting behind him, and blasting him in the face with a pistol. We end up back at the court-martial, and they basically say, we have to court-martial you, you're not going to be a Marine anymore. Turn off the tape and go, but you know what to do. You can go get evidence on the guys that are here. And and you know what to do. They say you know what to do. So he confronts the bad guy, and he gets him to confess. And that's the end of the movie. It turns out that now that he's not a Marine, Richard Miller offers him a job. So yeah, that's Sniper Reloaded, and it's a mess, and it's not very good. And if it wasn't for Billy Zane, it would be terrible. They mention Tom Berenger's character a lot. Miller says, I heard the son of my friend is out there, and so I'm going to come save him. And they keep mentioning to Brandon, you know who your father is. And he's like, yeah, but I know him very well. He basically doesn't like his dad. So, this movie is a mess, and it's not very good. And now I'm dreading watching the rest of them, because while I like Tom Berenger, Chad Michael Collins is fine, but I just don't like the character. Brandon Beckett is, as of right now, boring. He is a boring character. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to the rest of these movies, because I believe he's in all of them. That being said, I know that Tom Berenger is back for the next movie, so on we go. Okay, now it's time to talk about film number 5 in the Sniper series, this time Sniper Legacy. What this movie is about is we keep following Brandon Beckett as he's now joined the team that Billy Zane's characters put together. That being said, Billy Zane is not in this movie for some reason, which leads me to say, how have they not gotten Billy Zane and Tom Berenger back together yet? We're 5 films in, and I mean, Tom Berenger's on the cover of this movie, but having not seen it yet, I don't know if he's in it, because the thing I read about it is he's been killed. That being said, I haven't seen a body, so chances are he is in this movie, and it's not just flashbacks or anything. So there is a rogue assassin that is taking out military leaders that were on this mission in Afghanistan, and that you see him take out somebody at the first of the movie using like a remote controlled sniper rifle. So already he's an interesting villain because he's using technology and not just a guy behind a scope, even though in the movie he does do that too, and he's really good. Until the end, we'll talk about that. So Brandon finds out that this guy has taken out his father, but they won't let him go on the mission to protect this last guy on the list that was on this mission because they don't want it to become personal. But one of his commanding officers is like, well, but I can't let you go on the mission, but you know what would happen if you snuck off, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So he basically sends Brandon on a rogue mission to go where they're going, just in a different way. He hitches a ride on a ship, and he goes on the mission as well to protect this guy. Okay, so they go on this mission, and by the way, they do set up a friendship with this female sniper. Her nickname was Mango, I believe it was, and they tease like Brandon and her might get closer, but they don't do anything with it, so big shock. So already you can see I'm getting really irked with the continuity of this because there's no Billy Zane. They didn't follow up on the romance from the last movie. That character's not even in it. And now they're on this mission. And granted, I've realized this before now, but none of these people are good at their jobs. They're always messing up, or they're always being outsmarted until the very end, of course, where the villains become stupid. But anyway, he goes on this mission. They protect this guy, and then they're all thinking it's over, and they were like, well, we had intel that this sniper would be here, and, well, I mean, where that intel came from, I don't know. When they can't find him, if you have intel on him, you can find him, right? So they're all basically just standing around gloating, and then the sniper attacks and kills the guy. So that guy's dead. They try to find him. Brandon does find him, but he's just out of range. And of course, the other sniper knows this. He basically says so. And then another sniper starts to attack the bad guy. And it turns out it's Tom Berenger's character. He's still alive, and he's after this other sniper. That's basically just the story. They're tracking down this other sniper, and they do. They finally track him down and finally stop him. They use as bait. As bait, they use Dennis Haysbert's character, who is the Colonel. Dennis Haysbert is basically the Nick Fury now of this series, and they use him as bait. They do think he is in on this conspiracy to kill people, but it turns out he's not. But they use him as bait anyway, so the guy goes after him because the bad guy sniper says, I'm going to take out the Colonel. So they know to go to him. They use him as bait. The bad guy sniper, his name was Simpson, I believe. He all of a sudden is on the run, and he gets chased down by what's left of our good guys, which there's like 4 of them, I believe. This is where Tom Berenger comes in. He only takes like 3 or 4 shots during this movie. He takes 2 at the end, and I think he only took 1 during this battle where that guy they were trying to protect gets killed. He doesn't miss. He takes like 3 shots. He doesn't miss. He hits Simpson the first time. He's like, well, I was kind of I couldn't totally get him because I was just almost out of range and I can only graze him. So he hit him, and so he was wounded. But then near the end of the movie, when their plan to track down the remote control Sniper rifle fails because they think they can pinpoint it, but then it was jammed. It's basically got everyone pinned down. But good old Thomas Beckett, good old Tom Berenger, finds it and takes it off the remote control and uses the gun to take out Simpson. He does spout his one shot, one kill stuff, but that being said, he hits Simpson twice. The first one, when the guy's got a gun on his son, he's holding a pistol to his son. He blows his arm off, and then he blows his head off. And his son's like, I thought it was one shot, one kill. He goes, I want him to know it was coming. That's what that's what happened when you mess with my boy, right? The only really, I like some of the characters in this. There was another sniper, and I forget his name. Bidwell, that was it. Bidwell. I liked his character. He had a nickname like Face Shot or something like that, and it's because he liked to shoot people in the face. That was like his trademark. There was Mango, and I liked her character, but she didn't come back for the next one. We'll talk about that in a second. And I thought Simpson was a decent bad guy. So I like some of the characters. Bringing in Dennis Haysbert is never a bad idea. And he does show up for the next one. But with what I did like what they did was you're wondering the whole time. Brandon Beckett was never mentioned in the first few Tom Berenger sniper movies. Where did he come from? Why wasn't Beckett there for his son? You learn nothing in this, but I like the way they handled it. Mango tells Brandon, go ask him. You're never going to get another chance, or you probably won't get another chance, or you might not get another chance. So he goes to talk to him, and Tom Berenger's just like, well, do you want to get right into the tearful stuff? And I can tell you, why I wasn't there for you. He goes, just think of it this way. I'm a sniper. I wouldn't make a good father. What's funny is it's so simple and stupid it works. Because he's just like, look, you're a soldier. I'm a soldier. We got a job to do. Do you really want to get into this? Or do you just want to defeat the bad guy? And and it worked for me. That being said, I like the characters, but the movie itself was okay. It was one of the better ones, I will say that. Because, that being said, talking continuity, I almost forgot this. No eyesight problems for Thomas Beckett. Definitely no hand problem for Thomas Beckett. Because, boy, like I said, he hits everything he shoots at. And he hits what he wants to hit. They don't mention anything about what happened in the third one. So there's really no continuity there. That being said, it was probably one of the somewhat more entertaining sniper movies out of this group of 6. And it's fine, but you get here, and after I talk about the next movie, you just get to this point with this series that you're tired of the lack of continuity. I get the ones that stretch like 10 years between, but we're getting to a point where they're releasing them every other year or so with some of these later films. I think the third or the fourth, fifth, and sixth one. So there's really no excuse for lack of continuity. But what really drove me nuts for the next one is what happens at the end of this one. They talk about, well, what's going to happen to Thomas Beckett now? And it turns out he's going to become Brandon Beckett's CO. Remember I said that. All right, next we're going to talk about the 6th and final movie in the Sniper series, Sniper Ghost Shooter. Do you remember how I said Thomas Beckett would be back as Brandon Beckett's CO? Well, no, that doesn't happen. There is no Thomas Beckett in this movie. That being said, we do get Billy Zane back. So, yeah, I was hoping that would be better than what it was after the last time he showed up. But no, unfortunately, him being in this, I'll talk about it in a minute. They didn't really do much with him, unfortunately. What you have is after a failed mission where Brandon hesitates, he doesn't want to shoot a kid. After he hesitates, he he gets ripped on basically for hesitating on this mission. And then they are sent on another mission to protect this this head of like a gas company, because again, they aren't military anymore. They're like independent contractors. So they go on this mission, and they are attacked by, well, they don't really specify if it's ISIS or the Taliban or what, but it's basically Arab terrorists. They're attacked, and it's like they knew they were coming. The bad guys knew they were coming. So Brandon ends up blaming the colonel of the Georgian army. They're over in former Soviet Russia. He blames him. He's like, none of your men were killed, but mine were. So he thinks he's a traitor. He punches this colonel or whatever he was, and he gets probation and gets sent to into the former Soviet Russian mountains to serve out his sentence. And of course, he meets probably the best character of the movie, and unfortunately, I can't remember the guy's name. And he, this guy, kind of teaches him about hesitation and stuff. And he had a thing where he didn't want to shoot a kid, and the kid drops a bomb and blows up his whole group. And so that's how they deal with the hesitation thing. That being said, they try to go back to it. They're like, did you hesitate before you took that shot, kind of thing. But it had nothing to do with the kid, so it doesn't make any sense. And they're these movies don't make any sense anyway. But anyway, so he finds a way to go and talk to the bad guy and try to ask him, how did you know where we were going to be? This whole thing has to deal with drones and the hacking of systems and everything else, to where they can see what we're seeing. And so the guy's like, the bad guy's like, well, God led me to be able to destroy you, basically. So it turned out that, yeah, he hit that colonel or whatever, but that guy didn't have anything to do with it. Brandon notices one of the bad guys has like a little computer thing that looks like it could track what we can see on our drones. And so he tries to take this information back to the good guys, and the good guys don't believe him. Again, Dennis Haysbert's in this, and he doesn't believe him. I don't know. I keep wanting to call him Nick Fury, because that's basically what he is. Especially he finally gets to fight, and you get to see how good he is. So he tries to take this information back, and they don't believe him. But sure enough, this leads to another disaster. This movie is a disaster, man. It was hard to watch. You have Brandon Beckett again. He tries to get with yet another girl. And this time again, while it's not military, she is like a superior officer. What is it with him wanting to get with superior officers? Granted, she flirted with him first. You got Billy Zane back, and where he was really entertaining and funny the last time we seen him, he's just very stoic and straight-laced this time. And he's just kind of boring in this, and I hated it because he saved the last movie he was in. He made it entertaining, where here he's just kind of, I'm the commanding officer type character, and it sucks. Again, you promised to bring back Thomas Beckett as a CO, not in it. Being that this is the last movie, how can you not have him? And so I am so tired of these movies. Forgive me if I probably look tired. I have watched 6 sniper movies, and this one, while I enjoyed some of the characters, just the plot itself and the lack of like Billy Zane getting to be funny Richard Miller, it's like he was a completely different character. There was just, I don't know, man. It was like a sad end to this series. I like seeing Bidwell again, but he wasn't in it for very much. We find out that Brandon Beckett has like prices on his head, and of course Bidwell saves him from a sniper while he's on downtime. And really, this movie, it was hard to watch, and it was a sad end to this series. Because wait a minute, what is this? There are two more. There's two more sniper movies. I guess I'll see you guys in a couple more hours. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Now, this could be something. This is something that they should have done a couple of movies ago. Okay, now that I've seen what's the rest of the Sniper series, let's move on to film number 7, Sniper Ultimate Kill from 2017. What's promised to us by the marketing is that we finally get Brandon Beckett, Richard Miller, and Thomas Beckett all together. Well, yes, you do, technically, but okay, we'll get to that. And if you can't tell, these movies are starting to weigh on me a bit. So here we go. What the story's about is Brandon Beckett is asked to join this task force to help bring down a drug cartel in Colombia. To work with this task force, they got people from all sorts of different parts of the militaries and police and everything else in this one big task force. They've thrown so many acronyms at me for all these different teams, it's hard to remember what they are. You'll have to forgive me again. I've watched 8 movies in the span of 2 days. So what you have here is he's asked to join, and his dad is one of the guys running the show, and Richard Miller's the one that sends him there. So right at first, we don't get Miller and Thomas Beckett back together. Also, though, there is a sniper that is hired by this head of the drug cartel that this cop has been trying to catch. I believe that was Kate Estrada was the character's name. And she's been tracking this guy down for like 3 years. But he hires a sniper who goes by the name El Diablo. And he has magic bullets. No, they're like bullets that can like track. Once you've like put them on your target, they will recalibrate while they're in the air, and they can follow the target. Because he's making like shots that curb, and they kind of figure this out. But anyway, so they go on this mission. They hear that this drug dealer guy is at this one position. He keeps moving, right? And they haven't seen him for like 10 years. The picture they have of him is like 10 years old, even though he ends up looking exactly like what's in the picture. But yeah, they track him down, or where they think he's going to be, but the place is rigged to explode, which basically tells you, once again, like in most of the movies of this series, there is someone there that's betraying them. And honestly, when you see one of the characters, you're like, yep, I know it's that guy. Okay, look, just like a bunch of the other movies of the series, not all of them, but most of them, the plot to this movie is just, there's so many moving parts. There's so many different characters that they try to introduce you to, and you have to follow. And maybe I'm just at the point where I'm tired of watching Brandon Beckett. I'm still not really convinced of his character, see, because he once again is dealing with having to deal with killing people, like how it makes him feel, and that becomes an important plot point until it's not. Um, so again, I haven't been interested in this character the entire time, or almost the entire time he has been in this series. But they do some good stuff with him and his father, and I'll get to that in a bit. But I will say about Tom Berenger in this, he doesn't really see any action. He is just the head of this group, and he gives some orders. That's about what he does. Now, granted, when he finally does share the screen with Billy Zane, which, by the way, they're good when they're together. But that being said, the majority of the time, they're not even in the same room. They'll be on a teleconference call or a phone call until like the last 20 minutes of the movie, when they finally get to see each other in person. And they should have done more of that. They should have had them together more. I think it would have made for a better movie. The majority of the movie follows Brandon Beckett, who goes rogue again because he has to, because again there's someone on the inside feeding intel. He goes on rogue with that Kate Estrada, and in a way you think they're going to kind of tease that they might have something, because once again, apparently Brandon Beckett has to have a romantic interest in all the movies. So they're together, and they are on the run most of the movie. And as the movie goes along, we find out, little by little on how they can track down the drug dealer. And then they finally do track down the drug dealer, and then they're going to trick who is betraying them by transporting the drug dealer, and the sniper, of course, is going to go after him. Well, they feed intel that he's going to be in this, he's not in the convoy, he's in this other truck, which, of course, the sniper attacks the other truck, and then they have all the evidence they need to say, yep, we knew you're the one that betrayed us. So we find out that Brandon Beckett doesn't have to be a good shot in this one, because Richard Miller, Billy Zane's character, gives him explodey bullets. And he makes this shot from way, way far away on the sniper. And though it looks like he's going to miss, you're like, oh yeah, the bullets can explode, and boom, El Diablo is dead. Can you tell I'm getting tired of watching these movies? At the end, they tease that Kate Estrada and Brandon Beckett are going to work together. And they're like going to be this new dream team. Billy Zane says they're calling me back to Washington. It's like, please no, stay, because we actually got funny Billy Zane in this one again. Like he was the first time he came back. He wasn't all straight-laced like last time we saw him. He was funny again, and he was being snarky and sarcastic, and he was great. So yeah, he says I'm going back to Washington. Then we lead to something that actually for once carried over to the next movie, which we'll talk about more later when I talk about the next movie. But Thomas has a moment with his son at the end where he goes, basically, if you ever, come see me. If you ever want to talk. He's basically reaching out as a father for once. Brandon doesn't know what to think of it, but it actually does come into play in the next movie. Unlike what a lot of this series does, where it doesn't carry over things. But so all in all, this one was decent. I'm not going to say it was great. It was one of the better ones, though. Not because of Brandon Beckett, unfortunately, but because of Billy Zane being back and his interactions with Tom Berenger. Then again, this one was still predictable. But it was fun seeing Billy Zane get to be a sniper again, instead of just being Mr. Straight-Laced, I'm on the mission and I'm in charge guy that he was last time. I liked the Kate Estrada character. Unfortunately, as we're going to talk about in the next one, the promise of having her in future installments doesn't happen. It may happen later, who knows, because again, we'll talk about why maybe she wasn't in this next movie here in a second. But yeah, this one wasn't bad. I'm not saying I would watch it again, but as far as the Brandon Beckett ones go, probably because it had both Tom Berenger and Billy Zane in it, it probably made it a little better. But yeah, that's about it on this one. It's fine. I had to rent it from Vudu as I did the next one. I rented it for $3. It was fine. It was definitely one of the better ones, but it's not great. All right, let's move on to 2020's Sniper: Assassin's End. Okay. As far as I know, this is the last one. Granted, this only came out a couple months ago or so. There might be more. There's a promise of more at the end of this one. So at least this one carried over a little bit of the story of Thomas and Brandon Beckett. But that being said, it didn't really carry over anything else. Now, I forgot to mention in the last one, Dennis Haysbert wasn't back. He's not back in this one as well, though they do bring up the Colonel. I don't know if they're talking about him or somebody else. I think they were talking about him. But anyway, in this one, and this may be the reason why he wasn't working with the cop from the last one. Brandon Beckett's on leave, but we find out that there is a Yakuza-trained sniper named Lady Death that frames Brandon Beckett for assassinating this guy that is... and again, these plots get so convoluted. This guy is brokering like this trade deal or something, but they assassinate him. And the main reason they want to blame Brandon Beckett is, well, if an American is the one that assassinates him, they'll pull out of this deal with America. So, but Brandon Beckett is spending his time playing, well, it was either Xbox or PlayStation, some generic first-person shooter sniping. He's sniping 14-year-olds and 14-year-olds and just nagging on them over the headsets. But anyway, this one I will say, it starts with one of the coolest sniper scenes in any of these movies. Lady Death has this press conference with this guy that's going to get assassinated on television, or is on her phone or something. But anyway, they're showing that in the foreground, or like right in front of us, and then way in front of us, they show her at the window kind of blurry, and she goes and takes the shot, and then you watch the TV, and you watch the guy's head get blown off. So that was kind of cool, I will say. But anyway, he's blamed. They arrest him. But then whoever the bad guy is says to this assassin, we're going to send some Russians to quote-unquote free Brandon Beckett, and you have to make sure that it looks like someone tried to break him out, but he still needs to be dead, right? So this ends up leading for Brandon Beckett. He ends up getting away, and he goes to Montana to find his father. Now, all while this is going on, this is by far the best part of the movie. What's going on that's not Brandon Beckett. You see, there's a new Homeland Security agent that is introduced. His name is Zeke Rosenberg. I'm just going to call him Agent Zero because that's what they call him. Agent Zero is investigating what all is going on behind the scenes of why Brandon was framed, why this one person was at this press conference and then ends up being like a pharmaceutical guy. And that leads him down a rabbit hole investigating why this guy was assassinated and everything else and who's behind everything. That's the best part of the movie, the investigation. Him working with this other agent named Clover, working behind the back of Agent John Franklin, who's like the stoic, I'm in charge guy, right? So that's the best part of the movie. The Brandon Beckett stuff is honestly just him running pretty much the entire movie. He's very, in a way, very unimportant in the movie. That being said, he is a part of the plot. One of the bad guys ends up having a history with him, because of course he does. He ends up being someone who was in one of the same units as him, and it's someone that Brandon Beckett snitched on, and now this guy wants revenge. And so we go back to Brandon Beckett, and he tracks down his father in Montana. The agents do go after him, but they are picked off by Lady Death. But Brandon and Thomas are able to capture Lady Death, and this leads them to run a little scam against the bad guy, where they're going to have Lady Death bring Brandon in alive, because apparently now we find out she owed the bad guy for a mistake that happened on a job. So you're like going, gee, I wonder if she's going to survive and be the future of the franchise. And of course she is. And that being said, she's a cool character. I like her, so I wouldn't be opposed to that. But anyway, they pull a little trick on the bad guy. The good guys end up saving the day. Now Brandon gets captured by the bad guy, and earlier in the movie, Thomas Beckett tells a story to Brandon about a shot he had to take in Vietnam, where a guy was being captive, and you know it's going to play later in the movie. A guy's being held captive and by a gunpoint, and he has to make a shot, but he ends up killing both of them. He ends up killing his friend and the guy that was holding him. And this situation comes up later for Beckett, who only takes one shot during this movie, and it's this one, and he does say it was the hardest shot I ever take. He had to save his son, and but so there's that. And again, I'm sorry I'm sounding belligerent here, but I have watched 8 sniper movies. So they do have a moment in Montana where Brandon and Thomas talk about Brandon's mom, and you find out that, Thomas said, no, I'm not married. I guess he proposed to her like 3 times, but she realized that maybe Thomas wouldn't have made the best father. So, but Thomas says, look, did she ever tell you I did call to check in on you? Did she ever tell you that I emailed whenever it was available? But he goes, I should have been there in person. So he's really trying to be a father now. At the end of the movie, they have a moment where he's just like, he goes, I had my doubts about the shot, and his son's like, I didn't, I knew you would make it. But they have a moment, and you realize that them two are going to become closer. Are we going to get more movies with Brandon and Thomas? I don't know. Are they writing them out now that their story is kind of concluded? I don't know. But for the first time in this series, we get a mid-credits scene where we have Lady Death being captured. Agent Zero approaches her and says, oops, you missed your flight. And basically saying, you're going to work for me now. And she looks very happy about it. So, because of course she goes back to where she's from. The Yakuza are not happy with her. And her government has like lots of warrants for her, and she's not gonna have a very good life back home. So she's happy that Agent Zero is interested in her. So this one wasn't bad. It was better because of Agent Zero and Lady Death, and if they continue with these two, you know what? I'm cool with that. If they write out Brandon and Thomas Beckett, I'd be fine with that. I still want to see Billy Zane come back. I don't know if he will, but I want to. Because I still really like that character. I like it, and especially if he gets to be snarky. But if they write out the father-son team, I'm fine with that. If they continue with with Lady Death and Zero, I'm fine with that. That would at least mix it up a little bit because, again, I've never really been invested in the Brandon Beckett character. I like the Thomas Beckett character whenever they're consistent with it, but I'm not invested in his son that much. I think this series suffered way too much from consistency problems. Now, again, I understand like between 1 and 2, there was like 9-10 years. I get that. But they tried to write in issues for Thomas Beckett in the second one. But then they weren't consistent into the third one. They got rid of the eyesight thing. They haven't been consistent with his son. After he meets his dad, the next movie he still seems to have daddy issues. Like he hadn't met his father, right? So they've never been consistent with the Brandon Beckett character, and it's unfortunate. If they would have had some kind of consistency about the motivations of these characters or the jobs they're going to do, promises of the future, and then they don't fulfill them. It seems like this last one is the first time that they're really going to set up something for the next movie, again with Zero and Lady Death. So maybe they're just trying to continue the series and have some consistency now. It shouldn't have taken 8 movies. But yeah, that's my biggest issue with this series is the consistency. That's what makes them hard to watch. The plots are usually have way too many moving pieces. And you have consistency problems between the characters that do return, which really ends up being Brandon Beckett, Thomas Beckett, and Billy Zane's character. So, you had a couple times with Dennis Haysbert, but other than that, there isn't a lot of returning characters. And then you have consistency problems with them. So, do I recommend this series? Well, look, I bought the first 6 movies for $5 at Walmart. I rented the 7th movie for $3, and the last movie, this one, Assassin's End, I rented it for $5. So you're looking at $13 to watch all 8 of them. Is it worth it for that cheap? Maybe. But again, it's hard to get invested in this series. And I'll tell you, these last day and a half, 2 days that I've watched and talked about these movies, it's just been difficult, man. If they were better movies, this would have been a more enjoyable experience. But man, I am wore out. As much as I like Tom Berenger, as much as I like Billy Zane, and as much as I like some of the characters from these movies, they're just... I don't even know if it's worth the $13 to watch. I hate saying that because, again, when you like bits and pieces of them, you want to enjoy them. But it's hard to watch one if you haven't seen the others. But then again, consistency plays a factor into that as well, and they're just not consistent enough. But anyway, this has been the Sniper series. I did double check. I couldn't find that they were making another one, but that being said, this last one just came out a couple months ago, but they did tease a future. So who knows? If they continue, I will probably watch another one, especially again if they continue with Zero and Lady Death, because I did like those characters from this last one. Bring back Billy Zane, bring back Clover, the girl that was helping Zero, and I think you would have a pretty cool team going on. So, that's going to be it for this series. Thank you for listening to me ramble about all what I thought was going to be 6, but turned out to be 8 Sniper movies. If you have anything to say about the series, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I'm your host, the real Gino Reynolds. One shot, one kill, and I'm taking a nap. See you later.